What's up, everybody? Robert Rule of 2 Review here, and today, what in the world is happening with Watch Dogs? So you guys are watching some game footage of Castlevania Lords of Shadow, the original game, 2010, I believe, 2010 or 11. And honestly, I'm getting so hyped for Lords of Shadow 2, which comes out in just a few weeks' time from now, that I figured I'd go back, rebuy this game. I never finished it, and I've just kind of been craving it, like I said, through my excitement for the sequel. So I figured I need to come back, relive it, revisit it, hopefully get it finished. It's a pretty long game. It's 2 discs on the 360, which is the version I'm playing now. And it's a great game. Replaying it now is actually reminding me, I feel like I feel stronger about it now than I did when it first came out, which is really kind of weird. But hey, it is what it is. That's not a bad thing. I'll definitely say it looks really, really good. I forgot how impressive this game is visually. So the controls are fantastic. The game is just super cool. I'm an old school gamer. I grew up in the 80s with the NES and stuff, so I definitely appreciate Castlevania from a nostalgic standpoint. Mirror of Fate on the 3DS was also really, really good. So coming back to finish this one out has been really exciting. So hopefully you're enjoying this gameplay footage, and hopefully it helps get you excited for Lords of Shadow 2, just like me. Okay, on to Watch Dogs. This is a game that I am marvelously hyped for. I have been since it was, of course, first revealed at E3 a few years ago. I've been following its progress and tracking it, just like I'm sure all you guys have. The delay that hit last year was certainly super unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I was okay because there were so many other good games to play that I didn't really mind waiting. If they needed to make the game better or do whatever they needed to do with it, that was totally fine. I never really had an issue with that. Other than being sad, I was never actually mad. And so this really weird piece of news came out today, and I don't really know if it's a big deal or not, but I kind of was scraping the bottom of the barrel to find some news to talk about anyway, so I figured this was a good one to touch on since I am personally so remarkably hyped for the game. And so this is something that I first found on VG Charts, and I did a little bit more digging in, and there's a really good article with some good information on GameSpot about it. But basically, Ubisoft has been holding 6 different trademarks for different aspects of the game, of the title Watch Dogs, including like an online computer games trademark, TV shows and theatrical performances, toys, things like that. But one of them, apparently what is being considered the main trademark, quote unquote, which I don't know 100% what that means, but that trademark Ubisoft has now abandoned. They have let go of it. What's really interesting is apparently this comes just 3 or so days after they had filed for an extension on the trademark and was granted that extension. And now they have decided to let that trademark go. So, of course, when news like this happens, all sorts of rumors start to fly. The main and most primary rumor you will hear, which has already been being talked about in just a few hours since this news broke, is, the question or concern that the game has been canceled outright. And this even goes back to a rumor that popped up about 2 weeks ago that maybe just the Wii U version initially would have been canceled, which would have been stupid and really tragic. That basically has not panned out and has not been proven to be true. I think it was even recently reconfirmed that the game is still coming out, which is good because, as you guys could guess, that is the version I'm playing and planning to buy. So, going back to that, and now a few weeks later, we get this news about the trademark, and so some people were worried that maybe the game as a whole would have been canceled. And I just can't see a world where that's going to be true. And basically, all the news I've been able to find about it supports that theory. There would be no reason for it to be true. But what it does mean seems to be, what the question is about. And I know I almost feel kind of silly making this video and talking about this news now because literally the news is 2 hours old. And I'm sure within the next few hours, today or so, we're going to get more concrete information. So the idea of speculating on it now may seem kind of silly because based on what we find out it might actually mean, this could be completely pointless to even talk about. But like I said, the game is a big deal. I'm personally super hyped for it. And this news is making the rounds on the internet and people seem to have a lot to say on it. So I figured I would touch on it. Like I said, the idea of them canceling the game now just seems completely ludicrous. As been confirmed in the few articles you can find on it, which I'll link below on the subject, it's one of the most hyped games that they have for the year. They expect it to be one of the largest revenue generators for Ubisoft throughout the year. And it's also a brand new IP. They're hoping to start a brand new franchise and be able to make consistent money down the road. There's nothing but hype for the game. It's not like people are not excited for it. It won Best of E3, I think, the year that it was revealed. There's been nothing but positive press about the game, with the exception of the delay a few months ago. So with everything in its favor, And knowing it's so close to release, it just doesn't make any feasible sense for this game to be canceled. So I'm pretty sure we can all put that worry to bed. There's no way the game is canceled. The number one thing that people seem to be thinking that this could mean is that the title of the game has changed. Now, that's an interesting idea. I feel like if they were changing the title, I mean, that's fine. At the end of the day, we know enough about the game to probably not care what it was called. It could be called, dog shit in a handbasket, and we'd be like, cool, I can't wait for that game because it looks great. Who cares what it's called? So changing the name probably wouldn't affect anything. I think it would be a strange thing to do. And I mean, the name is a good name. Watch Dogs seems to apply to the general tone and idea of what's happening in the game and the story that you're going to be doing, very thematically so. And so I think that it's a fine name they don't have to change. But if they are changing it, why does it have to happen through this trademark change? And wouldn't that also mean, and I could be totally wrong on this, guys, so forgive me, but wouldn't that also mean that all 6 of those trademarks would have to change? I mean, if the game, becomes called something totally different, like dog shit in a handbasket, wouldn't that mean all the trademarks for like the TV stuff and the toys and things like that? A game instruction manual is one I can see here. Like, why wouldn't those also have to change? What really makes this a very interesting piece of news is, like I said earlier, that just a few days ago, Ubisoft had to file for an extension to keep that trademark. So something was obviously happening with the trademarks, with potentially the title of the game, with the release of the game, or maybe even the release window. All those things obviously were in question, or there was some discussion within Ubisoft back and forth. But regardless, the extension was filed for, was granted, and here we are 3 days later on February 3rd. And the CEO of Ubisoft, somebody I really like, and I'm going to try to pronounce his super French name the best I can. I think it's Yves Guillemont. I'm going to call him that, Yves. So he is the one who had to decide to, he signed a paperwork deal. You can even find a copy of it online somewhere, where it shows him, requesting the abandonment, quote unquote, that's the term used in these cases, the abandonment of the trademark. So I don't know. There's really not really that much more to say. I just wanted to talk about the few things going on with it. The fact that this happened, the fact that people were worried the game might be canceled due to this, and then the fact that what it could very much mean is a change of title, the changing of the name of the game. Like I said, just happened a few hours ago. We're probably going to get a lot of information in the next few hours or day or so. Ubisoft apparently has decided not to comment on this at all so far. So that's kind of adding to the fervor of the rumor and, where people want to take it. But, like I said, it just happened. There's no way this game is being canceled, so no one has to worry about that. It's going to be coming out and releasing. We know that for sure. And maybe it's just going to mean that the name is going to change. I feel like they would have a lot of PR and very smart marketing that they would have to do to kind of overcome the fact that for now 2 years we've known the game, or we've known the game as Watch Dogs, and to all of a sudden change the name could create some confusion, especially so close to the supposed release. Excuse me, guys. But, regardless if that's what they do, it's not going to be that devastating. I'm sure they'll find a way around that and help make it comfortable and make sense for everybody interested in the game. And if they don't, I guess that's going to be to their detriment. But, at the end of the day, I'm sure we'd all rather have the name changed than the game being canceled. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Do you care what the game is called? Are you hoping it's not canceled? Are you somebody who's just, doesn't like the game, isn't excited, and would just be super thrilled that all these gamers' dreams would be dashed if they canceled the games? Whatever it is you feel, go ahead and share your comments and stuff below. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just to the point where I know it's not going to be canceled. I believe in it. I'm super hyped for it. I can't wait to pick it up in a few months' time. It's one of my most anticipated titles, for the Wii U, and most anticipated titles for the entire year for all systems. It's coming out on everything. It's going to be super, super great. So Watch Dogs is going to be great. It's not going to be canceled. And I don't know. What do you guys think that this really means? Last but not least, I wanted to touch on one more thing because I always like to talk about release dates, and I've already talked about this, but now there's been new concrete information. The Wolf Among Us Episode 2, which is going to be called Smoke and Mirrors, was just announced today to come out tomorrow. So that is fucking awesome news. The Wolf Among Us Episode 1 was awesome. I'm a huge fan of the Telltale stuff. If you've been watching any of my videos, you've probably heard that a few times. It's come up. And while we're waiting for episode 2 of The Walking Dead season 2, we do have The Wolf Among Us happening. I think they initially had planned it for the 7th, which would have been, I think, this Friday. But for whatever reason, they've decided to say, oh, all of a sudden it's coming out tomorrow. So there you go. So here we are, knowing that tomorrow we're going to have this awesome kick-ass game to play. Super excited. Cannot wait. Loved the first episode. Can't wait for this whole season to play out. And it's just interesting in that it speaks to the whole secretive sort of drama or issues that Telltale was having surrounding this game or whatever's happening in their studio behind the scenes. Smoke and Mirrors, which again is episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us, was supposed to come out like in November or December or something, and it didn't. It basically just disappeared completely, dropped off the radar 100%. No one knew what was happening. No one was talking about it. Telltale never said anything about it or released any sort of statement, not even like a tweet on Twitter talking about the fact that it hadn't come out. And so we didn't really know what was happening. Episode 1 of The Walking Dead season 2 came out, so everyone got focused on that. And then, the hype for that died. So now we're waiting for these 2 new episode 2s for their respective games. And all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, it came out that, so in early February, episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us is going to come out. And, there was a post from Telltale on one of their forums basically saying, that, acknowledging that the game had disappeared. They hadn't said anything about it. They hinted at something. I can't remember the exact quote now. I talked about it on an episode a few weeks ago, but they basically were, referencing some sort of behind the scenes issues, something that they said was, unforeseen, basically, that caused the game to be delayed and kind of disappear. But they pretty much confirmed that whatever it was that happened shouldn't happen again. No reason to worry. The games are going to start coming out on schedule, or the new episodes are going to start coming out on schedule, and whatever issues that they were going through are now behind them. So, hey, that's good news. If they were going through something weird internally, I think that's a shame. Telltale is an amazing studio. I'm a huge fan of their work. So I would hate to think that there was anything happening that was, creating issues with their game development. But whatever it is, whether we can believe it or not, they at least said it shouldn't be an issue going forward. They apologized for it. Here comes episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us. So we know that they're finally, obviously, moving forward with their products. And that's really what it is we want from them, all their great games. So we can feel pretty good about that. I'm really sorry that they had to go through some sort of issues, and I'm sure that a lot of bad things happen behind the scenes. You want to think layoffs and stuff to maybe some good people, but whatever. It's apparently old news now. We're just going to believe and trust them. We can look forward to episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us tomorrow. Super, super excited. Going to play that all day. And then we know episode 2 of The Walking Dead will probably come in another month or two, and hopefully they can stay on schedule. So, I just wanted to touch on that. Really, really pumped to hear that this news is that this game is now coming out faster than we even assumed. So tomorrow, The Wolf Among Us episode 2. Super excited. What do you guys think? Okay, guys, well, that's it. Back to a fairly regular short episode for me, at least here. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe to Rule of Two Review. Find us on Twitter, Rule of Two Review, like the Facebook page in the description below. Share the video, like the video, and share your comments and thoughts below. So thanks as always for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you next time.